And welcome back to part two of Glitz and Glam on this glorious Saturday afternoon. I hope you're experiencing great sunshiny weather and having fun. Before we were having a blast talking about all the beautiful jewelry that we have with the layered. And remember, Mother's Day is coming on. So that was a little bit of the glitz. And now I'm happy to have Holly Corsano, which is a celebrity makeup artist from New York. She's going to be joining us for some good tips and tricks of the trade because that's the glam. The two work so well together. So I'm going to be muting myself and I'm going to be turning it all over to Holly. Thank you, Holly. And here we go.
Thank you for the nice intro, Jan. So I'm a little tired today because I had a surprise wedding this morning. I slept for about 3 hours, so we're gonna see how we do. A friend of mine called with an emergency. So I just got back and that's why I'm running a little late today. So it's actually a perfect opportunity to put makeup on my tired face so that way you can actually really see it. All right. So I'll let you guys take a quick look at kind of what's going on here, and I'll make sure all of my makeup is off because I do have a little bit on from this morning. I already started taking it off, but I want everyone to get a really good idea of what's going on. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to do a very similar thing to what I did yesterday. I think that worked well for everyone, unless anyone wants to learn something specific that I didn't talk about, but feel free to ask questions. Let me know if you want like me to show you something special, but for now, I'll just talk about what I like and show you some things on how I like to use them. Okay, so first we're going to start with how I would prep my face. Just reach for my stuff. So I'm not going to do this now because this is something you would actually sleep with. But there's this nice mask that you can put on at bedtime. And it's wonderful. Highly recommend that. And then another thing that I'm not going to try right now, but it's an exfoliating face scrub, which this one is my daily like scrub. It's nice to exfoliate. You want to have all of the extra skin off of your face so that way when you put makeup on, the texture doesn't show. It's important to exfoliate. And then also for prep is these eye renewal jellies. And this one, I'll show you what they look like. They're really cool. So it's like this. They're fun. And then you just pop them on. And there's a little caffeine in there and they help take the dark circles away. I love them. You put them on for about 10 minutes before you start. Sometimes I actually like to put those on while I'm doing my smoky eye because it catches all of the fall down. Something fun to try if you feel like it, but those you'd pop on for like 10. So then we'll pretend we washed your face, and the next step you would do is tone. So there are two things that I like to kind of do that. Both of these are wonderful. This one, the pH Skin Normalizer, is also really nice if you leave it in the fridge. Give yourself a little mist, but when you wash your face, it changes the pH of your skin because of the soap. And it's nice to set it back because when you have your pH to where it should be naturally, it absorbs all of your moisturizers more efficiently. So we'll go with the Skin Intelligence today. The this essence I actually like to put on at bedtime. That's like something I do as my like before bed, and then my lotion. So then, now we're neutralized. And then the next thing I would like to do is something called needle-free serum. And this guy has an immediate tightening effect. It's awesome. That's really good. We like that immediate tightening effect. So for me personally, my concerns are here because I don't want this to drop down at all. So I tend to tap it along here, and I also tap it along here. Just I want to keep all of this stuff kind of up in and nice. And then I also will tap it around my smile lines and a little bit on my forehead. Looks like this. And then I like to press products into my skin. I try, if I can help it, not to pull on the skin. And you don't have to put that everywhere. You can definitely use it just in your areas of concern. I guess if the whole thing is a concern, then do the whole face. Why not? Okay. So the next thing I really like is this serum concentrate. The reason why I like this is, here, I'll show it to you. It has a nice smooth consistency, and when you put it on, I'll come close so you could see. It's very hydrating feeling. See it on there? So the reason why I'm applying so many things to my face that are all clear is it's important to have the skin looking soft and hydrated before you actually put makeup on. And a good example of kind of what I'm doing is I'm putting like gesso on my canvas. I'm basically like setting up my canvas to receive the paint. And if you hadn't set it up properly, your paint would absorb right through your canvas. Or similarly, if you don't put primer on your walls before you paint, it's going to go right into the sheetrock and suck up all your product. Same thing here. So it's nice to absorb, you know, all the nice hydration and skin goodies and anti-aging stuff before you put all your makeup on. Okay, so once that's all in and absorbed, I'm going to put lotion on, but so there's two that I really like. This one is actually something I use for bedtime. You can use this one up to twice a day. That one's really special actually. It's excellent for anti-wrinkling. And a couple of my clients actually really like that one for the top of their hands too. Because I know we have this shows age. It's a pretty dead giveaway. So I do have a couple folks that will put this on the top of their hands in here. And when you use that one, it's important to rub it together to activate it, and then you put it on. And the other lotion I like is this one. This one's an aloe, and this one smells awesome. So I wanted to do a makeup look today that is very kind of natural and glowy and almost like a no makeup with a little eye pop. There's a lot of people that ask me how to do the no makeup. Definitely takes a little finesse, but then once you get the hang of it, it's great. So I'm going to start by getting my foundation ready, getting a lotion ready that I'll use this one today because I used the Pentaxel in yesterday's video. So you get your little foundation, you get your lotion, and we're going to make a tinted moisturizer out of those. And you also get your face primer. So you could use, if you have this one is really awesome too. That's the pore minimizing serum by Lumiere. And then this one's the pore complexion perfection. I'm gonna go with this one. Looks like this. So the nice thing about this one is I'll come close so you can see what's happening. So pay attention to, I don't know how well you can see it in camera, but pay attention to the way my pores look on my face over here. You know, in person, this is a little more obvious, but hopefully you can see it in camera. It has a really similar effect to the blur tool in Photoshop. So this is something really nice if you don't want to put makeup on, if you're not much of a foundation wearer. You can do all your skin treatment and then just pop this one on. And it kind of gives it this finished feeling without actually having any pigment on your face. If you're a person who is pretty oily, I find this one works really well. If you're someone who is super dry and you need exfoliating and your skin is very textured, I would go with this one instead. This one's a little more, kind of is almost more like a lotion. And also, makeup is also up for your interpretation, so it's not any, there's no like set rules, so you can play and have fun and do whatever. This is just the steps that I like to use for my own self. Okay, so now that you're primed, so we're gonna get our foundation. I'm gonna go with the stick. My color today is buttercream. This is the stick. And I think I want to do this lotion today since we used the Pentaxel before. So we're going to, if it's your personal makeup stick, you can use your fingers if you want. So you'll swatch a little bit off. A little bit off. Yep, see it? And you'll put your
I'm
lotion.
doing a quick little unmute here, Holly, to, as you progress, there's a question about those wrinkles on your upper lips.
Oh, the little lines, when you get the little lines here, what would you put there? Is that the question?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, cool. This one, Insta Smooth. This is a good time for that question. I can demo it. So this product, this one right here, this product is called Insta Smooth. And it's, I find personally, it's a little like beefier of a product. It goes on just as smooth as this one. But I find that it does something a little more it has a little more oomph to it when it comes to filling in things. If you have like a really large pore, if you're having, you know, the lines, you could do this first and you would. So we're basically putting spackle and smushing them in there. So that's just going to help. It's going to go into the lines and help fill it in a little bit. So
then on that same order, a question here has been that Tina says she uses primer and different things like that, but she still finds it caking underneath her eyes.
Yeah.
Yep, so that could be, it depends on what your eye shape is and what product you're using. I'll go, when I do my concealer, I'll talk about how to help that. If I don't answer it during the demo, come back to me. And then I can help you specifically with your eye shape. If my, if my own eye shape and me demoing it doesn't match what you need. So we have these two things. This is the foundation and this is the lotion. I'm gonna mix them together. Just mixing them together. So I like this foundation in its full form. I just don't want to have my whole face with full coverage. So the purpose of why I'm doing this is I'm making a sheer layer that I'm gonna brush on my whole face, and then whatever isn't looking, perfect after that, I'll go in and spot correct with something that's a little fuller in coverage. So normally this is my color that I use. I am a little tan from being in Florida. I just got back 2 days ago, so this might be like slightly lighter than my skin at the moment, but that's fine. We'll go back in with the bronzer, fix it if need be. And you don't have to use the back of your hand. If you have a little palette, you could use a palette. Let's get the leftover off. So I also like to put it on my neck because this part gets blocked by the sun a lot. So usually here is kind of lighter. And I'll pop a little bronzer in there as well. So I'm going to go over also priming your eyelid. You don't always have to do this. It depends on what kind of eye look you want to do. If you're doing something that is more like eyeshadow heavy, you do want to put a little something to block the oils from coming through. That'll help your eyeshadow not crease. If you're not using eyeshadow, then you kind of don't need it. So I'm barely putting it on. See how it's super subtle? And then you tap. You don't need a lot of product. If you put too much of this, it'll make the eye skin look a little like crepey. And that could also be what's happening with the under eye makeup concealer situation. Go like that. Tap it on super light. We have a little schmutz. Okay. So it's not going to look different, but when you blink, you'll notice it's a little like tacky. It's going to hold the product on. And then from there, let me get my sponge out. We're going to do some concealer. So this is my personal concealer, so I'm going to put it on directly with the doe foot. So I'm going to go onto my orbital socket and trace it along here. And I'm also going to go a little bit under here. And then a little bit here. Notice how I'm actually on the edge of the orbital socket and not up where the eyeball is, right? I don't want the concealer to actually be like where my eyelashes are going to become, anywhere up there. And I'm going to get my other color too. This one's a little lighter. And the reason that I'm keeping the concealer far away from where my eye creases is because I want space to blend everywhere. And if I put it too close to my eyeball, then I've run out of space. My eye is there. So notice how I'm staying away from my lash line and I'm going, my eyeball stops here, right? Like this is my under bottom eyelid. I'm not going to put any makeup above that. I'm using the natural, like dark shade of my own tired under eye almost as a drop shadow. So you don't want to take that away. You actually do want to leave it there because it'll look like nice dimension when you're done. So again, see how I'm leaving this dark spot? And this is also a little bit lighter than the color, the stick that I use. So this is also kind of giving me a little bit of a highlight, which is why I chose the lighter colors for here and here. So I can brighten it up a little bit. But I want my crease to not be bright because that looks nice if you set it back a little. So reasons that under eyes could crease is there could be too much product. It could be too close to where when you blink, like the natural lines that are created when you're moving your eye around. You actually don't want your makeup on there so much. Like lightly brush it on there to blend it out, but don't start by putting it in that area. Put it lower than that and then blend it up onto it. You can give that a try, and then if it is still not working, then it could be maybe the product is a little too wet. Maybe you want something that is long wear and dries down. Like these ones are very like long wear and they dry down really well. They kind of don't move. At least on me, they don't seem to move. You could also try that eye primer that I just used. If you tend to be really oily, that could also move your product around. So having the little primer just to help block that is helpful. And then I'm also going to take that same concealer color. So notice how I'm kind of getting a little bit of highlight around the eye, and the natural color of my cheek is almost looking a little bit like a contour just because I highlighted a little. So I'm going to do that same thing here just because I have melasma and I'm a little darker here. And because this color is a tiny bit too light for me, because again, I was just in Florida, we're gonna mix it with this one. And this is a big area, so we're going sponge. And the sponge, you want to get it wet before you use it and then wring it out so it doesn't absorb all of your product. Mine's already wet from using it earlier today. There we go. Starting to look a little bit like something. So again, this color is a little lighter than me at the moment, but that's what we're doing. But we'll bronze it up because sometimes that's life and you just gotta figure it out. So we're gonna play with the Essentials palette. I have both of them. I used V1 yesterday. I'm gonna use that one again today just because I do really like that palette for my skin tone. So I find this blush very pleasant. This one is a cream. Everything actually from here over is cream, and then these two are powder. And they have a super high pigment payoff, so you don't really need too much. So I tap. I let everything for me, I like to tap. And then when you go like this, you kind of get these little apples and kind of make a dumb face. And everyone's face is going to require a different placement for this. For me personally, I tend to think about my face in almost like three planes. I'll think about the front part of my face being like this, the side of my face being like this, and then you kind of have this like 3/4 plane, and that's where I put the blush, if that makes any sense. Or you can kind of line it up between like where the edge of your iris is to the corner of your eye, somewhere in that world. Depends on your face shape and like what you want. If you want it to be more lifted, you could pull it out more. Going in with the sponge. So the purpose of the sponge here is to spread it around a little bit. So I'm moving it around probably half as, it's half as wide as it is here. So the goal is just to diffuse it out, which is a reason that I stop here because I need a little room for it to diffuse. Same thing as why the concealer stops here. You want room for it to diffuse. And then I also like to put this up here. So from far away, when you put a color here and you don't put it on the rest of your face anywhere, it kind of looks isolated and strange, in my opinion. Again, makeup is fun. Do what you want. There are no rules. Do anything that makes you feel good. But yeah, the reason that I put it here is just to tie in this. And then I'm also going to do a tiny bit here. And then I'm going to actually pop a little bit over here, anything that I have left over, just to give a little warmth. So I would say the majority of the makeup that I like to do is all very soft and kind of blended in and like melty. I don't usually do too much contouring or like heavy eyes or anything. And that's just my personal style, but I do like all of it. Okay, so that's a basic kind of like a no makeup basic skin prep. I do want to show you guys how to do a little like bronzing to elevate it a little more, and also because I'm a little tan, will match the two things that are not matching currently. So plus it's nice to show you guys how to use this palette because this one This one's pretty versatile. You don't have to use it just for your face. You can use it on your eyes. There's lots of, you know, it's nice. This is really cool. So these two are shiny. These three are pretty matte. Today I'm going to play with this middle one, and I'm going to use that to bring a little like sun back into my face. So I'm going to do that with a big powder brush. And I'm going to actually, instead of, you may or may not know when you contour that you would go right under the cheekbone. If you could see, I don't want to do that for what I'm doing. My vibe today is going to be more of a sun-kissed look, and imagine if the sun's hitting you from above, what areas would get darkest? It would be the high points. So we'll go with the high points. So this is going to feel like the opposite of contouring. You're actually going up above the cheekbone instead of underneath. And before you blend it, it's going to look a little funny, but that's okay. So I'm smushing this into the foundation that I've done now. And the reason that I'm going back in and smushing it with this instead of using a brush is because I want to press it into the skin so it doesn't look powdered. I really want it to look like my face is naturally tinted and not with bronzer. This is also the bronzer. Same thing under here. For people who don't like this on themselves, if this kind of drops down a little or you don't have the most defined situation happening over here, this is an excellent thing to do. Pop it in here. Then it'll help sink it back. Just make sure you blend good. It's important to make sure that here doesn't have a hard line. You want to make sure that's gone. Also, if you are doing a lot of bronzer and something, you know, that's happening here, it is really fun if you remember to transition it onto the ear. And I also like to make sure that it goes into my hairline. If you're blonde, be careful doing this so it doesn't really like get in there. Blonde or gray. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to other things? I think, is everyone muted? I can't tell if anyone has questions. You'll just have to unmute and let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep going. The light temperature, let me see what happens here if we change this a little. because it was looking a little warm. Okay, so light temperature too plays a huge role in how your makeup is. Like if you watch, see how it's way less orange looking because I changed my light temperature. So it's important to get ready in light that's pretty neutral, something that's daylight. Because you could be putting your foundation on in a place that might be too warm. And then you go outside in the real world and you look funny. So it's nice to just test if you're not sure how to match your foundation. You can test this part, and if it disappears when you go like this and out in the natural light, if it is easy to, blend in, that's a really good indication that is your color. Yeah. It's coffee break. Okay, so basic skin is kind of on. Things that I'm noticing are that really like light coverage I did. These little guys are still needing a tiny bit of attention. So we'll do that. You just find little areas that need a little attention. All right. Got a little of that going on. I kind of want to do a little mist here. So this I'm going to do now. The reason why I want to do this is I want to make sure everything is set into my skin and it doesn't look powdered at all. So this is an extra step just for fun. You don't have to do this. It depends on how the makeup is looking on your face. If you've put too much powder or you put too much, you don't like it, you can soften it a little with that. But then when I do that, it makes everything move a little better. Again. Because again, this is the no makeup makeup, so I don't really want it to be on there, but a little, just a little. Here's that. So if you could see. This guy. So this one is not a makeup setting spray. That one is for the pH of your skin. And we do have a setting spray. When you're all done, the very last thing you do is this one, and this one's like hairspray for your face. This one is more like if you needed to re-wet the makeup and move it around a little bit, you can do that to kind of activate stuff again. That's not like what it's written as for description. It's a pH balancer, but I like to use it to manipulate the makeup a little bit. Yeah, the 10 years younger is wonderful. This you can actually also try under your eye if you are creasing and you've done all of the things that I suggested by not bringing it up too high. If you're still creasing, you can spray a little bit of this on your sponge and tap your makeup into your face with a sponge that has this on it, just to see if it helps set it down a little. Not because obviously you don't want to spray this in your eyeball, so you want to put it on something and do that, right? So that's another little something you could try. So I'd like to move on to eyebrows from here. So there's this nice little pencil we have. And that is in taupe, which is not my color. I have all of them. I just have to find the one I want. Black, brown, that's me. So we have one side that looks like this. And one side is mini. So for me, when I do my eyebrows, I actually like to see the skin through the hair. I don't want to fill them in all the way. But eyebrows are very personal for everyone. So whatever you feel cutest in is what you should do. I don't like a full filled in brow though. I kind of want it to look a little fluffy. So for me, I like to fill in right here at the peak and then a little bit at the tail. So I brush them up. And then I kind of identify where I'm not so balanced. So and then you can see it starting to take shape a little bit. I need a little extra oomph here. And then we need a little extra oomph here. And then this, I want a little bit here. So you don't really need to do a whole lot with the eyebrow if you don't want. But like, look at, that's way more together than this side's a little squirrely. And I barely touch them. So this side needs something slightly different because this one's a little longer on the tail. So they are sisters, not twins. So I kind of only really need to go here to make them look symmetrical for this side. If you have a clear brow gel, you can also put that on if you're a person that likes to have your brows really in order, but also you could just leave them alone. I usually leave them alone. If you don't have a clear brow gel, that's okay. I mean, if you're super in a pinch, you can use hairspray. That brow gel is a little more. I mean, that's what it's for. Yeah, you could use it 10 years younger too. Let's see. If you were gonna do that, I would spray it on a spoolie and then brush them and let it dry down. So I'm actually going to put a little bit of a lip on first before I do my eyes so you can see a really natural no makeup. And then we'll go into the eyes and then I'll kind of bump it up a little bit. So I'm gonna use Dusty Rose. I really like this color for me personally. And I'm barely gonna press. I'm gonna very slightly color in the whole lip. Pretty. And I'll show you how to bump this up later too when I do the eyes. So super simple, subtle. And then I'm gonna smush my lip gloss around on it. So I'm blending my lip gloss in with this. And I'm almost diffusing the edges. I don't want any hard lines. For people that do have big creases where their lip meets their skin here, your little vermilion border, this is a really nice way to soften that. You don't want to do such hard lines in a situation like that. Yeah, so just keep it nice and diffused. I like it. This is one of my favorite lip combos. And this color is called Sweets. So I did a Dusty Rose lip liner and Sweets gloss. Another, if you like a lipstick, Brunchin is a good like match for those two colors. Looks like this. If you wanted a like a splash more of color. Yeah, it's cute. And then so that is a really basic like no makeup, even though it's obviously makeup. So we're gonna transition to eyes a little. Let's see what we would like to do. We're gonna use the V1 palette. Let me get our shadow. There we go. Okay. So this is what it looks like. I like all of these colors. I think they're all wonderful. I think today it could be fun to do maybe this and transition it into these two. Maybe we could do a pop of the pink. And then I'll show you guys how to do like a little bit of a cat eye too. Everyone seemed to like that from yesterday. So I like to personally, when I'm putting on eyeshadows, I like to use my finger to press it into the skin first. And then I use the brush to blend it after instead of using the brush to place the pigment. That's just me personally, because it helps the dust down happen, like not happen if you are pressing it in. So we're gonna go with this one. Oop, my little. Go with this one. And then yep, just put it on the whole outside of my lid. And I'm tapping, 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 tapping. And let me get something to point with so you could see. So my finger is touching my eye from here to here. It's not going past the bone. So when you open your eye, and it hits the bone here, the makeup's not going above this, just to give you like a, I know you can't really see so well from the screen. But I'm staying pretty close to the lash line. And then now that it's mostly off of my finger, then I can go and smush it up a little more if I want to. But that's the part that we're saving for the brush. Right, everything from the crease, which is here, up, we'll use the brush for. Everything from the crease to the lash line, I'm using my finger just to get the pigment down. I don't need a brush to put it on here. Yes, if I'm not answering anyone's questions as they're typing, I'm sorry. I'm not always looking at the chat when it pops up. just keep asking, I'll see it eventually.
That's okay. I've got that covered for you.
Cool beans. All right. So then now you can take it and blend it. So I stopped putting the makeup here. So that's where I'm going to start blending because I want to take this area and diffuse it into where there's nothing. There's nothing on that finger. I just like to do that to make sure there's no makeup higher up than I want. So I just make sure it's not in the little hairs under my eyebrows. Okay, super subtle, nothing crazy. So now I think I maybe want to play with this one too. I think that sounds fun. So I'm going to take a littler brush, this brush. I'm going to put it in kind of like this little triangle area that's right here. We're making like this little triangle. See where it's, I don't know if you can see where I'm putting it. So this is the beginning of the triangle, like the straight part, and then we'll go like that. If you can see it. And then everything's little taps, little tiny taps. And then, oh, as I drop my brush, and then we can blend that out. So the idea here is I don't want to blend under where my brush is. See where my brush is going? If you follow the line from under your eye and it continues out and it would end probably about where your brow ends, you don't want to blend your shadow lower than that. It'll make your eye look too low. So you want to keep everything above that line, that imaginary line. So I wouldn't take this and blend it down. I would take it and blend it out though. Yep. Then I'm going to take my 10 years younger and the little angle brush, and I'm going to spray this one. So we're going to get it in the black. And then if you see here, so instead of using an eyeliner pencil, you have a little more control with a brush. I always like a brush. And then you just tap it. Can you guys see it? And then I need to get a little closer. I need this. And I want to show you guys a little wing. So the same idea I was saying about, I mean, you could stop here and leave it like this if you didn't want a wing. That's also nice. You could take this and bring it all the way to here if you want a little more oomph. I could show you what that looks like. Notice how I'm anchoring my finger onto my face and it's not, I'm not trying to do it like this. It doesn't work if you don't anchor. You have to anchor somewhere. That kind of finishes it a little bit. And then if you wanted to give it a little wing, you're gonna follow that same path. Imagine that there's a straight line coming from here to here. Can you guys see it okay? And then you'll fill the straight line in a little bit more at the top. So you're going to be connecting this part to that part on the top. Since it's a straight line, it's not a swoop, so you need to connect the top across. And that makes an illusion of a swoop, although it's all straight lines. You guys see it okay? Yeah. And I'm going to do this side without the smokiness so you could see it a little more cleaner. So then again, spray your, it's a 10. Dip it in. Get nice and close. Something that's really important in this step is you want to make sure that the skin where your eyelashes are growing out of is where the black goes, or brown, whatever color you want to use. You don't want to have any skin visible. The illusion happens when the lashes have the pigment like coming out, if that makes any sense. So see how I'm just tapping? I'm not trying to draw a line. I'm actually just using the brush and placing it and then moving up and picking it up and moving it along my eye. So then for the little wing out part, again, we want to follow the shape of the bottom. So if I put this here and lined it up with the way the bottom of my eye is shaped, I would be tracking to about here, right? So that's the line that my wing out would go. And I'll do this one a little bigger so it's more exaggerated. So see this exaggerated line? Yep. And then notice how this comes down and then this comes up. It's almost like a check mark. So this is a straight line. To connect it, you would want to put here to here, and it's another straight line. And together it looks like it's swooping. See it starting to build. Yeah. And if you wanted to diffuse this a little bit, I actually kind of like to use the little lip brush. I actually like to take it and just pull even a little further with no product on it, just to make the line come to an even smaller point. It's cute, right? Little smoky cat eye and just like a clean cat eye. And then we'll play with a little bit of mascara too. I really like. So I've been doing the lash primer and the 3D mascara together. I like the 3D mascara. Um by itself and with a primer. So I'll show you both. So when I'm putting this on, I actually wiggle it into my lashes a little bit and then I twirl. But notice how my hand and the location of this kind of stays the same because I'm twirling it on. And I'm kind of blinking down into it once I start the twirl. I'll get it going and then I'll blink down. You can see that they're getting nice and big. And go again. Yep. And then I've lost my mascara. Well, it's funny. It's plain. And I found it. Here we go. This is what happens when you're doing a makeup demo on 3 hours of sleep. Okay. So now this is just the mascara. And I'm putting this on in the angle of which my eye is. So the inner corner, I'm going to angle this way. The ones in the middle, I'll go straight at. And then the ones on the end, I'm going to come in like this. If you can see it. I really like this mascara combo. I think it's really fun. It's pretty special. I'll show you what it looks like without the primer. I think it's nice to have both because without the primer, it's a daytime look, and with the primer, it's a nighttime look. Or maybe they're both daytime looks, depends on how how much oomph you want. I like a very large lash, so for me, I tend to always use the primer. But you can still get a decent coating with this. If you want more and you don't have a primer, you can let this dry and then do one more coat. Yeah. And let that dry a little. Yeah. So if you're patient, you can get them pretty big. You just have to let them dry and you have to really sit there and do it. Yeah. And then I'll show you guys a quick lip bump up. If you wanted to overline your lip a little, I'll show you kind of what you would do. If you wanted to, you know, make them look a little bigger, you can keep the corners exactly as they are in your natural line. And you can lightly go outside the line on the top. Just on top of it. So I'm not really outside of it. I'm just on the outer edge of it. And then we'll blend it in. And then the same thing on the bottom. Does anyone want to see anything else? You guys can unmute and let me know if you want. So yeah, that's kind of how you bump the lip up a little if you wanted a little boost. And you would do that on the beginning step of when you first put your lip liner on. Thank you. Like finally reading the things a little bit. Does anyone want anything specific? Can do some questions. I'm gonna drink my coffee while you guys are typing.
I was gonna say, how do you cover a small blemish on
Oh
your
yeah.
face?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have this one little spot on my face that yeah, it's right under my eye and it's darker than the rest of my skin, and I've had it burned off, but that's the best I can do. I can't do any more to it.
What color is it?
It's kind of a lighter brown. It's brown uh
Like a
like a
sunspot?
like a sunspot. Yes.
Mhm. Okay. So
I think a gallery view.
Huh?
um
What now?
you can find a what do you have any of the Motives products? Is there anything that you tend to use just so I kind of know what you are familiar with using?
No, I'm not currently using anything on it, just my foundation.
Okay. So when you want to cover something that is a little darker than the rest of your face, you have to neutralize it a little bit first.
Mhm.
Depending on how much darker it is, you might want to get something that has a little bit of like pinkish undertone just to cut the coolness of the brown.
Okay,
So if you find a concealer, like for me, like I'll show you what I mean. So this is, for me, this looks pretty pink. Like this is much pinker than my face. My face is a little more yellow than this. Or like if you look at this, this is, I mean, it's, I don't have like the most pink one since I'm just using the ones that are my own like personal matches. But you can get like a color correction. At one point we used to have a color correction quad. I think I have a couple of them floating around somewhere. But anything that's like a little bit pink will brighten it. Or I mean it really kind of depends on what's going on. But you could do like, let's say like I have a little something right here. I don't know if you guys could see the little sunspot here. This is just lipstick. It's pink. And then the reason why I'm using this really light concealer over this pink lipstick is because the lipstick is a little darker than what I'd want to properly neutralize it. So I'm just kind of like splitting the difference by doing this lighter.
okay.
But just to kind of show you like kind of what color correction would look like. Yeah, you want to color
It
that.
vanished.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's still a little bit there because I'm kind of poking around at it, but and less is more. Like you really only want to like see how tiny, like the amount of product I'm using is like super tiny. So it's a little there still, but not bad.
Okay, it looks good.
Yeah. You have to just kind of play with it. Find, if you send me a picture of what you look like, I can point you in the right direction for like a color. Yeah. You can send one to Jan. She could text it over to me and I can help. Yeah. Oh, you know what I want to show you guys too? I want to show you how to use the highlight in this contour thing. I realized I didn't put that on my face. So we'll go with the gold one because yesterday I used this more champagne one. This one's a little more extreme, but that's kind of fun. Why not? So I want to put that on the highest point of my cheek. So you can, for me, it's here. See it? And then the reason why I'm using this smaller brush is because I don't want it to spread out too much. I want to keep it on the high point. And I'm not pressing very hard. The bristles are like barely touching my face. See it? And if you wanted, I'll show you this one on the other side. This is the more champagne-y one. They're both nice. It depends on if you want more gold or more of like a silvery. You can also take it and do like a little tap here. And a little tap here. I use my sponge a little bit just to soften it. Use my lip brush just to soften this. If you want, you could also use this here. Looks cute there. You could also use the pink one. I'll show you the pink one on the other side. Nope, that's the blush. Pink one's coming. Okay. So I'll show you this one. I really like this palette. This one's a whole lot of fun, I think. So I'm keeping this on my lid and I'm not going up above the crease here. And then I'm slightly tapering off as I get over the arc of the top of my eye. Yeah, and we can do the gold one on the other side. And I am tapping it before, because remember how I like to press my finger down if I have a pigment that I don't want all over my face? Well, with this, I want this in a smaller area than my finger is wide, so that trick doesn't work. So I have to do it like this. So then you kind of want to tap. Fun. Fun stuff. Then if you really want to kind of make it even more like evening, you could bump it up a little bit by going a little bit under your eye. So this is this brush again, a little angle brush. I just want to make sure it's not wet anymore. I do want to get in there with the brown, but I want it to be a softer line, not such a hard line. So I don't really want it wet. So I'm going under my lashes. And I'm not going all the way up close to my waterline. I'm actually leaving a little room because I'm going to go back in and smudge it, and I want room for it to spread out. I don't know if you could see. It's hard on the camera to really get the full detail. In person is better. So then go in, and then you can blend it. But if you've gone too close to your waterline, you've run out of place. You can only blend down. You can't, and then it'll be really dark at your waterline, but I want something softer. It also depends what your eye shape is. Sometimes the waterline works nicely. If you have a really large eye, a little waterline is good. If you don't know what the waterline is, that's this part that's like that I'm showing you here, like in the eye. That bumps it up a little more. If you wanted to bump it up even more, you actually could take your concealer and make a little extra coverage over here it'll give you the look of a full face of makeup if you just make this little triangle space more covered. All of a sudden this goes from no makeup skin to like a full face, and I really only put makeup in this one little area. It's funny how that works, but it's true. So I don't want to cover my blush. Look, all of a sudden, it's time. It went from lunchtime to post dinner really quick. Ask that again. Ask that question again.
Does using that highlight help with the dark line sometimes that shows by your, between your nose and your eye?
Sorry, it broke up a little bit. Are you
Oh,
saying
I'm
the
sorry,
dark-
I'm driving,
It's
or
okay.
I'm in a car. So, that there's a dark line that goes in between your nose and your eye. For some people,
a dark
Yeah, like-
line
like right,
like here
no, yeah, right in there.
in here? So if you have a like if this area is dark, you can isolate it with, let's find a small brush to do this with. Okay. Let's give myself a little darkness so I have something since I've already covered myself. Okay, so if you have a situation like this,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, if this
it.
is what life looks like, you can get something that is again a little pinker than you are, but not much brighter. It depends also the shape of your eye. If the skin is actually like puffing out, like, 'cause sometimes this is also more forward than this skin. Sometimes this is actually sunken in more. So you're having a combination of there's a shadow happening and also the skin is thin there, of course, because your eyelids are the thinnest skin on your body. So you can see all your like blood vessels and stuff. So that's what's going on here. But you could, so in my case, let me make this darker so it's like even more exaggerated. Okay. So in my case, this one's pretty light for me. So I might not want to do this one because what might end up happening is it might sit on top, make all the skin around it look really bright, and then the thing underneath kind of looks ashy. So if you use something that's very close to like the darker parts of your face and have it be a little bit on the more like pinkish side. This one is a little more yellow. Do I have a pinkish one? Let me look to see if I have a pinkish one. Those are just my two that I use on my face, but I'm not color correcting my face there usually. See if I what I have. Okay. So see if you can see, this is quite pale, but it's also pinker. Like this has some yellow in it. So if you can find one, I don't know what skin tone you are, but we'll demo with this just so you can kind of see what's going on. So always, the rest of your face might be more neutral or even more yellow. And that's the foundation you want. You want it to match here. But for your under eye specifically, you have to find something that's more pink. So you're going to tap it just in the spot that you need. This is probably even too much product. You really only want a little bit of product just on that one area. We're running out of clean brushes. And I'm using this brush just to show you. You can kind of see. So see how I'm tapping it just into that specific area and I'm not pulling it all over the place. And then you can take it and blend the edges out. Yeah, give that a try. But I mean, that worked pretty good for having a bunch of lipstick on my face.
Yeah, my skin is more yellow, so pink might work well.
Yeah, and you could mix your concealer actually with a little lipstick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you need,
Awesome.
yeah, if you need a little more like pinkish, you know, like you want like you can also show me what you have at home and I can tell you what if you need
I
something
have the palette that you were using today.
nice. I'm just gonna blend this a little bit. But
And
yeah,
if you-
I'm sorry, say it again.
Oh, I have glasses, so what would you, does that matter where you highlight?
For wearing glasses?
Yes.
No. I would, as long, whatever your eye shape is, you, if you're puffy here, you want to make sure the concealer is like a, either your exact skin tone or even maybe like the tiniest bit like warmer. And it won't like make it look more forward. If it's really sunken deep in, then a little warmer and like maybe a tiny bit brighter, but as long as it's warmer. You kind of have to experiment with it. But yeah, like adding pink makes it, where's my, hold on, let me show you guys this. If, oh, you know, actually, you have this, right? So I'll brighten
Yes,
this.
I have
Yeah,
that.
you have that, okay. Let's see for fun. We're gonna play together. We're gonna do an experiment. I haven't actually done this on my face before, but let's see what happens. Let's see if this looks really bright. See, I want to use shortcake. Okay, so I'm putting the pink under my eye to neutralize any darkness. And then now I'm going to put shortcake over it. And then I'm going to blend them. I mean, you could also blend them together, you know, not on your own face if you don't want to experiment on your face and hope that it works. Or you can play around at home on a day that you're not actually going anywhere and you don't actually care what happens. But I would say that worked pretty damn well.
Looks good.
Yeah, looks, I'm gonna do the other side. I like that.
Good.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm just tapping it in. So this color is a little dark. There's like a splash dark for me, but it's okay because the concealer is a splash light for me. So the two tones are gonna balance each other. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more concealer. I didn't do quite enough, but yeah, I really like this. I think it's fun. Does anyone have any other questions or things they want to see? Yeah, I like this. It's cute. And then I would actually, for the sake of balance, I would actually do this same lighter color here and here, just so when you look at me from far away, I don't have a white raccoon patch. So I don't need to color correct so much, so I don't need to do the pink, but I do want to do the lighter just on the high points. So we're using the concealer as a highlight. It's fun. Yeah. I'm not mad at that. I think that's cute. Maybe I'll do that daily. Ah, thanks for having me try a fun new thing. I didn't even think to do that before. With
You're
the,
welcome. That'll
Yeah.
help me too.
yeah, I know. It's like, what do I have on hand that I could do this with? Aha, cream blush. Just because it's labeled blush doesn't mean you have to put it on your cheeks.
That's good to know, because there's a lot of colors in that palette. It's like, I don't know what to do with these.
Yeah, you could put them anywhere. Like like you could do, I mean, heck, if you wanted to, you could put this on your eye. Why not?
Okay, if everybody wants to come back, we'll just kind of do a general group review. And thank you, Holly. That's excellent, excellent as usual. And we've got this recorded, so everybody will be able to get a copy of it. We have the youth also hear well, which we were talking about the skin intelligence, about starting when you're young to keep your skin looking nice and fresh.
Yes. Also, skincare is so fun. You guys know that. Skincare is awesome. Yeah, the skin intelligence is nice too because it's very easy. It's a very easy to use line. There's not a whole bunch of I don't know. It's like mellow. It's very approachable.
Yeah, and then at night, there's so many different ways that you could take your makeup off. You could do the 3-step with the cleanser, the toner, and then the moisturizer. Or if you just are too tired, there's a beautiful makeup wipe to be able to get that makeup off.
Which I'm using right now.
So are there any more questions from the field? Dee or Diane, do you have any more questions?
Comments from the peanut gallery.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Jan.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Holly.
My pleasure. It was fun.
I had a great time.
And it's
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a great, great afternoon once again. We had lots of fun, and thank you, Holly. We'll be doing this and putting this on YouTube so everybody can be able to see it and share it and get your great makeup tips. And I suggest everybody go and Google Holly to see all the fantastic work that she does.
Yay.
So we're going to be ending this for now. And thank you very much, everybody. We really did enjoy seeing you. Have a fantastic afternoon and a great day. Don't forget Mother's Day coming up.